Don't let attracting bad buyers fuck up your business. There's a literal buyer spectrum, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do in order to repel these types of people away from your offer. Most people think that all buyers are the same, and this is dead wrong. You need to understand this one concept, and this is going to make the difference between you being stuck below $30,000 a month and scaling up to $100,000 a month and beyond. I'm going to show you the 4 different types of buyers in a diagram and why selling to the wrong ones, or at least marketing towards the wrong ones with the wrong angles, will keep you broke and stressed. I'm going to sketch out a bell curve here, and some of you may be familiar with this type of diagram. I'm going to look away from the screen while I do it because I'm not very good sketching without looking. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to divvy this up into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll just label these. These are essentially your 4 buyer types. Now, when we look at this population here, what you're going to see is that anything on this side of the curve are people that are unwilling to accept risk, or at least they're less tolerant to it. They're less tolerant to emotional risk. Now, when you put out an offer, you're going to get exposure to all 4 buyer types. You're going to get all of this. And what we want to try to do is push away 3s and 4s as much as possible. Now, inevitably, you're going to close some 3s along the way, but they're not the best type of client, and they may wear down your nerves over time. So on any given day, your content, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn, is going to get you exposure to all 4 types of clients on any given day. When you're attracting clients to your offer, like, this isn't going to fill each one of these buckets sequentially. Your job right now is to attract the right types of buyers and repel the wrong types of buyers. First, I'm going to show you each type. Type 1, this is on the very left-hand side of the bell curve. I'll color it in here so that we know what we're talking about. These folks here, these are the first to buy anything and everything. So when Tesla released the Roadster vehicle 15 years ago, these guys were the first ones to get it. They're willing to take risks. They want the cool stuff, the new stuff. They're the ones that need absolutely zero proof that something actually works. Maybe they'll just ask one question when they get on a call with you. Hey, how soon can we start? I've had the pleasure of dealing with these unicorn type buyers a few times, and they're great. They come into it with the right energy. They'll never ask you for any type of guarantee. If you send them a case study, they probably won't even watch it. They already know what they want, and they're going to go for it. This type of buyer, like, they're not even going to think about the silly things that most people think about, like maintenance, for example. Of course, it's not silly, but these guys don't even care. They don't care about where they're going to get spare parts. If a new technology comes out, they're going to be the ones that want to first get on it. These are the type of people that put in a whole bunch of money in crypto and got fuck you money rich really quickly. So that's your type A. And if you can attract this type all the time, go for it, because they're the ones that are going to buy without any concern. Now, if your offer is fairly new, then chances are the people that are in your program right now, or the first batch of people that you signed up to your consulting offer, your course, or your agency, are these types of buyers already. These are the people that you're getting because they're not very skeptical. They just jump into shit and they just do it. Now, left center, section 2, this is like 30 to 40% of people, and I'm just drawing a shadow here. Now, these people are still action takers, but they need a little bit more information. They might ask 5 to 10 smart questions about your process. They have some timing considerations, things like, can I start next month? Or I need to finish off this other program first. For example, they'll watch your webinar, they'll consume your content, they'll read the testimonials. Maybe they'll DM a past client if they were able to find one. Now, these people will buy, they just need more touch points. Now, here's the shift. To get from $30,000 to $100,000 a month, you need to convert type 2 efficiently. This is where most people at your level struggle. They only know how to sell to type 1s, and type 2s are watching your content, following, but they need a little bit more proof before buying. So what they need are case studies from people like them. They need a clear process framework, and they need to understand the timeline to results. These guys definitely need a sales call. They need a webinar. In this situation, you're going to have to show them a timeline, and it's best to sell to them using a proper framework. So in my case, I use the triangle model. I'll do another video on the triangle model. I'll attach a link to it when it's done, but just look for it in my channel. channel, the triangle model is a great way to sell because I like to use frameworks to help people visualize what it is that they need in order for them to get ahead. In fact, if you jump on one of my calls, you'll probably see the triangle model being used on you. As far as case studies, what I like to do is I like to put them in my YouTube channel. So I have case studies from all sorts of people in all sorts of demographics. I've got single moms, I've got single dads, I've got young people, I've got old people, I've got full-time employees. So I can pretty much find a relatable case study for anybody that needs to see one and help them, see themselves achieving success in the same way that that person had achieved success. As far as understanding the timelines, you want to be super clear with it. This process takes to 8 months or this process takes 2 years, whatever it is, you want to show it to them on a table so they can very clearly visualize it. Now we're getting to the tougher prospects. This is type 3, the skeptical majority. So of course, they're on the right side of the peak of the curve, and it's 40 to 50% of the entire buyer population. Now, these people, they're going to ask you tons of questions, and most of them are going to be stupid. They're going to have a lot of barriers and limiting beliefs. They have really long timelines to make a decision. I usually disqualify these during one of my quizzes or surveys that I put in one of my VSLs, one of my video selling pages. I'll ask people how soon they want to start, and some of them will say, I want to start within 3 to 6 months. I just know that they're a type 3 or 4, and I don't want to give them too much attention. We'll score our leads, and a lot of times these ones will get the lowest score. It's a pretty big segment of people, and that's where the problem is. All these folks have a really low risk tolerance. They need multiple testimonials, they need detailed case studies, they need guarantees, they need contracts, they need payment plans. They'll say things like, I can't afford it right now, I need to think about it, let me talk to my spouse. The buying cycle for these folks is just a lot longer, and there's lots of increased friction. And there's also a risk of refunds with these people because you just can't trust that they're going to do the things that they have to do in order to get ahead. So there's a really critical warning here, and it's super important for me to emphasize it. When you have a high friction buy, you're going to have high friction to get results as well because they typically move slower. So if they take 2 months to buy, they're going to take a year to implement. So they're the types of clients who are constantly in your DMs with questions, excuses, fears. They need constant support. They are going to pretty much draw all of your patience from you and make you hate coaching and delivering services. And of course, they're going to have much lower success rates because they're afraid to take action. Everything scares them. Everything's a risk to them. These are the types of people on a webinar that ask you the dumbest questions. They'll ask you if you're making so much money, why are you teaching people how to do this? And that's because they come from a pretty negative belief system because they've either had really bad luck with all of the decisions that they've made. And those decisions are generally framed by their negative worldview, which ultimately just causes them to get stuck in that pattern and surround themselves with other skeptics that validate their decisions. These people can be a complete waste of time. If you're going to be dealing with them, you got to make sure that they're at least not at the far end here and that they're more situated here, because otherwise all of your attention is going to be drawn into them. Now, at $30,000 a month, you might think you need these people, but you don't. They'll slow you down, they'll drain your energy, and they'll get mediocre results, which will ultimately hurt your reputation. And then they're going to go on Trustpilot and talk shit anyway. So again, it's all about them being slow to consider things and make decisions, slow to purchase, slow to implement, and they're going to get mediocre results. And if you want referrals, these are not the type of people that will ever give them to you anyway. Now, let's talk about the type 4 buyer. This is the far right, and it's not the far right you want to be associated with at all in a coaching business. These people are a 5 to 10% fringe minority, but they're extremely loud. These people are fucking vampires. These are the folks that you really got to get away from. They're going to constantly message you with endless questions. Are the absolutely most cynical, skeptical people in your market. They're not really asking questions to understand. They're asking questions to prove that you're a fucking scammer. They're asking questions to validate their negative worldview that ultimately made them end up a complete failure in life. These are the type of people that will never buy from anybody. It doesn't matter what you're doing and what you're saying. You could give it to them for free. They could implement it, make it work, and still say that it wasn't good enough. And the types of questions that they're going to ask is, what's the guarantee? Can I get my money back if it doesn't work? Why is it so expensive? I saw someone say that it didn't work. Somebody told me that this whole business model doesn't work. They're not trying to buy anything. Again, they're just trying to validate their belief that nothing works. So these people will destroy your business if you let them. So they book sales calls just to grill you, just to waste your time. They'll never buy anything. If they do somehow end up buying something, they'll usually refund a request within 30 days and blame everything on you and then just leave a bad review. So one type of client, like, they will cancel out any win that you had with the other 3 types of clients. So you definitely want to avoid them. Now, they typically show up in your DMs with long paragraph type questions, page long objections. If I can find one, I'll post one for you. They're just hilarious. They'll take 90 minutes on a sales call that goes nowhere. They'll essentially lie to themselves the whole time and then just pepper you with all of their objections and telling you why they don't think it'll work. They're often the type of people that will do research for months and months and months. And you'll see them on Facebook group complaining about gurus, challenging them, questioning entire business models. I've had people question commerce. They've questioned one of the oldest types of businesses that has been around for hundreds, if not tens of thousands of years, which is just buying and selling stuff. To them, that doesn't work either. Here's the key thing that you got to walk away with. If you're spending hours convincing somebody to buy, that's a type 4, and you need to just get away from them. As far as your content, what you need to do is do your best to attract buyers that are here within this range here. Anything else farther to the right is just going to detract from your attention, and you need to repel them using the right type of content. And if they DM you, you just have to tell them that this may not be a fit for them right away. Now, here's the thing. You're stuck at $30,000 months because you haven't mastered the type 2 and a little bit of the type 3. To hit $100,000 months, you truly need to master type 2 conversion. Type 1 conversions, you might get 10 to 20 buyers max in your market at your price point. There are probably over 100 times more type 2 buyers than type 1 buyers. And this is why you're missing out on that opportunity if you don't get good. Now, what you need to be able to make it work is you need better testimonials. You need videos, long form video testimonials that talk about specific numbers. And you need more content showing your process. Not so much like your lifestyle and talking about pain, but actually showing a little bit of the process for these people. You're going to need a nurture sequence that builds trust, clear path to results. Here's what you need to stop to make this work. You need to stop long sales calls with super skeptical people. Like when you get to a point in discovery where you think that this person might be a far right 3 type buyer or type 4 buyer, you just need to end the call and just tell them that this isn't a fit. You need to stop payment plans for people who can't afford it, because generally these people are in that situation because they're type 3, 4 people. And because of those life decisions that they've made, they're in a situation where they can't afford it. So you need to stop letting everyone into your program. You need to stop trying to convince the unconvincible. Now, when you create one of your sales funnels, you need to have a quiz. And that quiz or that questionnaire should actively repel types 3 and 4s with disqualifying questions up front. So for example, for your market, you would ask something specific like, are you willing to invest at least $10,000 per month? Or are you willing to invest in yourself so that you can achieve your goal of $100,000 a month, knowing that it might take a percentage of your yearly salary to be able to get there? And you can say 7%, 8%. If their yearly salary is only $50,000, then you probably don't want them anyway. If their yearly salary is $100,000 and they're willing to invest 7 to 10 to 15%, then you can work with them. You can ask a qualifying question where you say, or you provide a qualifying statement where you say that the investment is $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Could you invest that within the next 7 days? Yes or no? If no, why not? You could say something like this: this opportunity requires 15 to 20 hours a week for 90 days. Do you have the time? This will help you filter out the dabblers and the skeptic. Now, the reason that this works is because type 1s will continue to say, yeah, let's go. Type 2s might be a slight pause, but they're still serious and they're going to say, yes, I'm ready, and they're going to go for it. Type 3, they might say, well, I'm not quite ready. You might have to objection handle them a little bit, but if they have the funds and you can help them, you should give it a shot. But type 4s, definitely, you don't want to deal with these people. They're going to get immediately triggered by your survey, by your quiz, and they're not going to go on, and they probably won't even book a call, which is a benefit to you. What you need to recognize is that every type 3 or 4 person that you let into your group or into your program or as a client is going to take away time from a type 1 or 2. Can you really afford afford it? Like, will it hurt your delivery? Because every hour you spend convincing a critic or a skeptic is an hour you could be getting a type 2 or a type 1 or result. As a final point, I just want to remind you that your income is ultimately determined by who you sell to and not how hard you work. Type 1s and 2s are fast and action oriented. They become amazing testimonials and they refer others. Types 3s and 4s, they slow you down. They constantly complain. They give no referrals. They ultimately damage your reputation and your brand. Here's a challenge for you. If you're to look at your client base right now, look at your last 10 clients. How many of them were type 3 and 4? If it's more than 2, you're sabotaging your own. So start filtering more and start repelling. If you want my exact funnels that filter out the types of buyers that you want into type 1 and 2 at scale, just let me know and I'll create a video for it. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to my channel and watch my next video. When I release it, I'm going to show you how I take a type 1 client and turn it into my best type of marketing engine.